The information provided in this podcast is for general knowledge and informational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional for diagnosis and treatment of any medical condition. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Unplugged Healthcast or Dr. Wall.
As a physician, you are a healthcare coach. We want somebody who's working with us together. So when I think, Kevin, of the doctors that you want to choose, number one, I want somebody who listens to me, but also listens with empathy. They can put themselves in your shoes. And then I want somebody who communicates with me. I want you to talk to me in terms that I can understand.
Neck pain, backaches, headaches, fatigue, the list goes on, and you're likely on it. Tired of the broken system and big pharma? We offer logical solutions, teach you to think critically, and empower you to reclaim your health. Welcome to the Unplugged Healthcast with Dr. Kevin Wall.
Welcome back to the Unplugged Healthcast. I am your host, Dr. Kevin Wall. If you knew what we knew, you would do what we do. 989,320. That's the number of licensed active physicians available to you today in America. 135 different specialties. Choosing the right doctor to get the right outcome is a complicated decision today. I love old movies, old TV shows. I often find myself, my wife kids me, at the end of a busy day watching, streaming YouTube, The Waltons. See, times were simpler back on Walton Mountain. In fact, finding a doctor was very simple. There was only one available in the whole county. Well, today we have one about every half mile. There's a multitude of specialties and opportunities and options. And if you choose the wrong doctor, you will not only get the wrong outcome, you will get sucked into a system that you may never get out of. We're here today to help guide you to make those decisions better, to help you find the right doctors for the right conditions and get the right outcomes. Here are some basic guidelines I need you to follow. When you're having a health condition, you need to make these decisions. You need to ask yourself these questions. Is my health condition like my house is on fire, or is my health condition like my house is in disrepair? If your house is on fire, it only makes sense that you would call a fireman. They're going to come in with their big hose and their axe, and they're going to knock down the door and put the fire out. And we're so thankful today in America for the fire department of big pharma allopathic healthcare. See, when you have cancer and tumors and strokes, heart attacks and broken bones and gun wounds and lacerations and blood clots, man, you have a fire and we need a fireman. Thank God we are number one in the world for crisis healthcare. But when the crisis is over and or your house is just in disrepair, well, it makes no sense whatsoever to keep calling the fireman. See, you need a carpenter. You need someone who can rebuild, repair, that gets to the root of the problem, that looks past the symptoms to find what's really wrong. When your plumbing is bad, when you have constipation and bowel issues and irritable bowel and diarrhea and acid reflux, you need a carpenter. When you have circulatory issues, swelling, high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, see, you need a carpenter. In fact, when your electrical system is bad and you're having numbness and tingling and radiating pain and pain syndromes and joint issues and migraines and carpal tunnel and weakness in your legs, see, these are wiring problems and you need a carpenter. It's crazy that we keep inviting the firemen back to deal with disrepair issues. Look for doctors that actually deal with functional medicine. When they look past the symptoms and they find the root cause, that's what we're looking for, not people that just mask symptoms. And so if you get out of the health crisis and you're trying to decide now, what doctor do I see? Well, here's a simple guideline number 2. The remaining doctors, 80% of them in America, are still dealing with symptoms and writing prescriptions. So right now we're down to the 20%. If you make the right decision, choose the right doctor, you get the right outcome. But if you don't, you get sucked into a system, you get chewed up, you get spit out, and you may never make it out alive. Let's watch a quick video of this exact situation. This is a viral video going on right now on social platforms about the exact thing I'm talking about that I've been seeing for many, many years. Let's take a look.
And this is the thing that's so infuriating is our medical system basically sets people like my brother up to fail. And it's this endless cycle where without his meds, he's a danger to society. But with the meds, they're debilitating. And he's so unhappy. And they pump him, through. It's so dehumanizing. Or he's like pinned down and injected. And they cause, paralysis and tremors and, whatever it may be. Some of them are really scary, had cardiac effects with, our history was so scary. And nobody ever talks about diet or lifestyle or other options.
Well, there you go. So for us to help understand how to deal with this problem, I have brought in a coach. I have brought in an expert in the category of consulting you on finding the right doctors. Let me introduce to you a friend, a colleague, a bit of a mentor of mine over the years. He may not even realize that. Dr. Mark Sanna. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey, Kevin, thank you so much for having me, and to your audience, welcome.
Hey, Mark, I know you are the founder of Breakthrough Coaching. You are a best-selling author. You are a consultant for many health practices. You have written some books, Cracking the Code, Breakthrough Thinking, Breakthrough Coaching, Breakthrough Living, and Breakthrough the Insanity. When you watch that video and we have this conversation of fireman or carpenter for fixing our health conditions, what are your thoughts on that video and this conversation?
What it brings to top of mind is that we are at a dramatic crossroads. And we know as physicians, we know as patients and healthcare consumers that the existing model is broken. And it is a sick care model. It's the model that, like you said, when the house is on fire, then that's where you're going to come in and use your health insurance and use your experts to get you out of that fire. But the paradigm shift is one of wellness care, true health care. And health is not an event that strikes you out of the blue. It's actually a process that develops over time. And it's a process that is built upon our habits, how we eat, how we move, what we think even, the air we breathe. And so you're seeing some vital transformation in understanding that symptoms are not a very reliable way of determining how healthy we are. So we need another approach to determine how well we're functioning and to keep us functioning at peak levels. For many years, the alternatives that have been available to us as healthcare consumers have been really siloed off from each other. You had traditional medical care in one area, and then you had complementary or alternative therapies in another area, and those walls are breaking down. So I've been consulting with physician practices for almost 30 years now, and been a physician myself going on almost 40 years, a chiropractic physician. And that breaking down of the walls we call collaboration. And collaborative care is the future of healthcare. We work best when we work best together. So when you're looking for the right traditional doctor, you don't want to have somebody who is closed-minded to alternatives that are out there, some of them that have been in place for 5,000 years, like acupuncture, and other that have been there a few hundreds of years, and that's chiropractic and therapy. And even now, some of the cutting edge, really amazing stuff that's happening in the longevity, anti-aging, biohacking space that literally is changing on a daily basis. We'll talk a little bit about some peptide therapies and some really cool stuff that I'm very excited about as we go on. So it's a shift. It's a shift, but it's a shift being driven by economics, by consumer preference. And hey, guess what? In the olden days up on Walton's Mountain, and we had the one doc who'd come to the house and would treat you, and that would be it. We have a whole online resource now where patients have access to the latest research, the latest medical studies, and they're not going to walk into the doctor's office unprepared and just say yes sir, yes ma'am, whatever you say. They're gonna check it out, and they're gonna see if in fact what is being recommended to me is actually what is the state of the art. And so that's exciting. We have empowered consumers and a shift in paradigm. That's a great, great time for us.
No doubt about it. It is surely not the time of the Waltons. Uh,
Yes.
well, we're going to get into some of those because I know you have a lot of knowledge in some of this new stuff that's coming out. But before maybe we get down that road too far, how many practices, Doc, do you think you've consulted over the last 25, 30 years?
Thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah.
And the amount of patients you've had the ability to impact and oversee, I'm sure, is in probably the hundreds of thousands now.
At
So
least.
you know the qualities of what they're looking for and what they're not looking for. Just to make this simple for consumers, what are the indicators of doctors they may not want to be going to?
I can tell you, those are the stuck in their stuff, old fashioned, old school, my way or the highway type of a doctor. A doctor today is a partner. You mentioned coach. As a physician, you are a healthcare coach. We want somebody who's working with us together. So when I think, Kevin, of the doctors that you want to choose, number one, I want somebody who listens to me, really listens to me. And that's a lost art. If you've been in a medical practice, traditional medical practice lately, you have to still rap on the glass. They slide the glass across like there's the Wizard of Oz behind there. And then you have to wait 45 minutes to get in to see this wizard on their time schedule. That is not the type of a doctor that we want. Listens, but also listens with empathy. So empathy means they can put themselves in your shoes. You can
Yeah.
feel from them that they care about you, that they're not just going through the motions. There's been a lot of pressure put on physicians, particularly primary care physicians who are our primary portal of entry. Listen, even low back pain, the number one doctor that people go to see is their PCP. Primary care physician can't do anything for low back pain except for write a prescription. That's it. They get very frustrated. And yet there's tons of research that shows how spinal manipulation and therapy and stretching and movement is the number one option, even in cases of chronic low back pain. So I want somebody who listens to me, and then I want somebody who communicates with me. I want you to talk to me in terms that I can understand. You know, when somebody's talking over your head, they're talking at a level, and we're thrilled that you're a medical doc, that you've got all these great certificates on the wall and degrees, but talk to me in a way that I can understand and that I know that you're getting me and communicating with me. And so that takes doing a little homework, Kevin. Before you go into the doctor, I really want to have my questions, my history written down. Take some time, use voice to text on your phone. Just let it come out, stream of consciousness. And when you go in, you're going to be prepared and have a much better experience. And then finally, the last thing, as I mentioned, collaboration. I want somebody who's willing to collaborate. And when I say my way or the highway, I want somebody who, if they're not sure, then they're going to refer me to somebody that's going to take care of me and help me. You know, the story that we listened to on the video clip just a moment ago reminds me of a very, very personal story that happened with my mom. And my mom was misdiagnosed with lupus. And now lupus is a very, very significant disease. It's an autoimmune disease. It manifests itself in some really significant ways. But the treatment for lupus is prednisone. It's a corticosteroid, very, very powerful corticosteroid with
Mm,
some of the worst side effects that you
horrible.
can imagine. So poor mom blew up, swelled up, retaining water. She gained 50 pounds in water weight. Poor thing, your emotional state goes absolutely haywire. You're no longer in control of how you emotionally respond. So big, huge swings in emotion. And it takes a horrible toll on your body. And it begins wearing away at the calcium in your bones. And so you start having vertebral fractures. And this goes on and on. And we were able to, thank goodness, get mom into the Mayo Clinic. And what's unique about the Mayo Clinic is their collaborative, integrative model of care, so that all of the physicians at that center are working off a transparent medical record. They're seeing each other's notes. So rather than have an endocrinologist across the town and an orthopedist on the other side of the town, she actually had neurological care and chiropractic care all together. Everyone was working together. And guess what? They found out she didn't have lupus at all. She actually had a simple side effect to Cipro, which is an antibiotic that she had been given by her PCP. But
Wow.
because no one was talking to each other and she got the wrong diagnosis, she got, just like we were talking about in that video, sucked into the system. And thank God they were able to get her off of the prednisone, tighter it down, bring it down slowly and surely. And God bless her, she lived perfect, restored health. You would never know that she had gone through this event that literally brought her weeks from ending her life. And so when I look for a doctor, I want to make sure this guy doesn't think he's got, and I say guy, could be a gal, doesn't think they have all of the answers, and that they're willing to work on a healthcare team, right? Be part of my healthcare posse, not the only doctor like on Walton's Mountain.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, over the years, I have seen a lot of patients. This thing that's a viral video that we watched is something you and I have been living for 30. I'm at 35 years. You're right there
Yes.
ahead of me, it sounds like. And how many times do you think you've seen this? This isn't new. This isn't today. This is the last 30 years, isn't it?
It really is. And what brought it, obviously, I think, into a very strong focus is the opioid epidemic and the terrible, terrible uh, tragedies that have existed for touched so many families where they were doctors giving out bottles of OxyContin and we know now if you're going to have something like that, you get 3 or 4 tablets and you're done, right?
Yep. Yep.
And people coming in with 90 tablets of OxyContin and you get hooked on that stuff really, really quick. And the dosage has to go up and up and up. And so to even just function, you're now a drug addict
Yep.
and destroyed so many lives. And finally, the powers that be put an end to that and said, no, you can't. And so you're seeing some major, major lawsuits going through the pipeline against some of the richest families in the country who were responsible for pushing this drug and misleading people about what the effects were. And that in fact, that it wasn't addictive, they were saying, when in fact it was one of the most addictive substances. And so when we took that prescription pad away, there you saw revealed many, many of these health issues that could be resolved with natural drug-free means rather than going to that quick jot to the prescription pad because they didn't know what else to do. They didn't have any other tool. It must be very, very frustrating to be a primary care physician with people coming in. 80% of the people who have low back pain come in and they're saying, help me. And you're like, well, take Advil. What can I do? I think that brought into a very fine focus the fact that we have to expand as healthcare consumers where we look to and where we get our medical advice and medical care.
Yeah, they get sucked into that system and they just get chewed up and they
Oh
don't
yeah.
know how to get out. And the system is really the problem. The doctors aren't, as you said, they're stuck in this thing and they don't know what to do often as well. Now, oxycodone is addictive. We know that, but this is not the only symptom. Some people get addicted to the symptom relief, thinking that somehow that's the resolution of that. I just had a podcast here and a guest here last week. This gentleman for 6 years took Prilosec, thinking this was going to be the solution to his indigestion, to the point that his acid reflux led to stage 4 esophageal cancer. Now,
Yes.
that's an extreme scenario, but I see scenarios like this all the time. It's not just the addictive ones, it's all of this. It's the system. This is that video, man. You got to choose the right doctor. You got to choose the right direction. You got to come in with some knowledge, right? Don't just walk in blindly and don't consume healthcare like we've been doing it for the last 50 years, because that has only led us to chronic illness at 150% increase. So if we want different results, we got to choose our doctors different. We got to do some research. We got to collaborate and we got to work together for real results, not just bring out the fire hose, bring out the axe, just go in swinging, thinking somehow this is going to result in a change of our paradigm.
After an injury, it can feel like life's on hold, but at AFC, we're here to help you get back to what matters. With personalized injury plans and our expert staff, we don't just treat the pain, we guide you back to strength and confidence. Because getting back isn't just about healing, it's about thriving. Call us or visit our website to start your journey today.
Thanks so much for your feedback, Doc. We know this is an issue, but now if we get past this, we know that choosing the right doctors, now we kind of get into, there's a lot of really cool stuff out there, really unique choices that are available to us. Let's quickly watch a video on something that's really kind of viral today. It's methylene blue. Let's take a moment and just watch this, and then let's have a conversation about where this takes us.
Have you heard of methylene blue? This new molecule finally gaining attention because of all the products it's showing up in. ADHD, yeah, methylene blue impacts ADHD. Brain fog showing up in that product, and just cellular energy. Most neurodegenerative conditions it's known for, traumatic brain injury, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and really any type of neurodegenerative condition. But look, this study, methylene blue in cancer research. This study is showing that methylene blue in this study is eradicating breast cancer cells. And they said when you take methylene blue and you get light.
Okay, well, this is falling into the category of what they call biohacking. And this is kind of a hot topic. And Doc, I'm surely not going to pretend I'm an expert in this. I want you to explain to our audience kind of what does biohacking mean? How does that fit in their health choices? And then maybe just expand on that video and that methylene blue, which is a hot topic today of possible solutions for people.
Well, I think that really brings it all together. So the methylene blue functions at the level of the mitochondria. And so when we talk about biohacking, anti-aging, longevity medicine, performance medicine, that conversation typically comes down to the mitochondria. So the mitochondria are the energy factories inside each of your cells. That's where, remember way back in school, you learned about ATP. That's how the body produces energy. And that is impacted at the mitochondria. I take methylated vitamins every day. And I think if you're taking a multi, you ought to check to see that they're methylated supplements. When we talk about energy, health, focus, sleep, all of the things that are some of the most prescribed drugs today, right? How many folks are taking mood leveling drugs? How many folks are taking medication to sleep, right? Anti-anxiety, so many. And a lot of that is because your mitochondria simply aren't functioning like they used to when you were 30 years old. When you can take some of the things that are out there, and I'm a huge, I love methylene blue, but I also am a big proponent in something called NAD. So your folks probably are hearing about peptide therapies a lot. And NAD plus is actually the driver inside the mitochondria of energy production, ATP production. And you can take NAD and iontophoresis patch, IV drip nutrition. You can do it in IM injections as well, intramuscular injections. And it is a game changer. These types of substances, again, natural peptides are simply short chain proteins. So they're naturally found, they're not pharmaceutical. And these substances can actually help every system of our body. So I see people who have long term chronic uh, COVID, right? Long haul
Yeah,
COVID,
yeah. Big thing
and
now.
their poor mitochondria are totally worn out. And when you give them mitochondrial support, it's a game changer. People who have traumatic brain injury, folks who have neuropathy, right? Numbness and tingling in the legs, right? Secondary to typically something like diabetes. That these are wonderful, wonderful natural tools. So I would look to a doctor who understands functional medicine, can absolutely go from the level of your genetics to what you eat, to what you're allergic to the toxins that are in your body. You can imagine how many folks are walking around with parasitic infections. You mentioned the guy taking Prilosec. Does he have an H. pylori infection ruining his biome? There's a great article came out this month in Psychology Today called the brain spine gut connection. So the biome, the health of your stomach is everything. You're either going to be digesting food or it's going to be going through you without you maximizing the digestion. If the biome in your gut is not healthy, as most folks aren't, if you eat like most Americans eat and you're getting your lunch at Mickey D's and you're getting your dinner at Taco Bell and you're sitting home in front of the TV having a couple of beers at night, you're going to have an upset biome. I can tell you that. And gut
100%.
health is really important. So having somebody who understands how to help you with that, how to diagnose that, and they do that through lab testing, stool, hair, saliva, blood testing, really can customize a program of functional nutrition for you that is going to get to the cause. And Kevin, I think that's the big point of this conversation is that symptoms are very unreliable in terms of a measurement of your health. You like to say, um, these people who all of a sudden have a heart attack out of the blue. Well, guess what? That was coming for some time. They just didn't have the right biomarkers to look for. They say that the first symptom of most heart attacks is you drop dead. That's not a very reliable symptom, right? Same thing, gastric reflux. That's not a great reliable measure of gut health, right? We want to get to the cause of the problem. The symptom is the fire alarm going off in that burning house that you were referring to before. The smoke's coming out, the fire alarm's going off. When you take medication, you're cutting the wire to the fire alarm. Guess what? House is still going to burn down. It's going to keep burning down to the ground until we put the fire out. And the fire is the cause. So we want to go to a doctor who is interested not in simply treating or masking our symptoms, but who's actually interested in what is causing our symptoms. Getting to the underlying cause is oftentimes the game changer for people that gets them out of that spiral that they're stuck in.
Yeah, they really get stuck in that system and they're consuming health so consistently the way they used to, the way their dads did, the way their grandparents did, and we've got to consider different. So if we're going to find doctors that are in this category of biohacking, which again, it seems like it's a term that that encompasses a lot of possibilities, all the new the new research is out there, the new opportunities. Yeah, there aren't many doctors that are all stuck in their office doing the same thing they've been doing for 30 years. How do they find these doctors? Are they online? Do they say biohacking? Are these regenerative medicine doctors? Are these like, how do they find these guys that are willing to do this? Look at this extra, this additional space to treat in. Give us some advice here, because I got to think it's confusing.
Yeah, if you're in your community, so biohacking is kind of a broad term. It's kind of cool, it works great on podcasts. But that wouldn't be the term you're going to use to find a physician who's going to be helping you in this particular way. So it does take some special training. It's not a weekend course, or you're going to take a quick seminar or learn this online. It really does take some years to understand functional medicine and functional health. And so there are medical physicians who have specialties in functional medicine. There are chiropractors who have specialties in functional medicine. I work with a great doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine up in Manhattan, is one of my clients, and she's fantastic in fertility, right? And again, taking a full functional approach. We call that whole being care, whole being. So somebody who's looking at the whole being, not just a part, right? You're not walking in with a particular symptom. You're walking in as a human being, and we look at every expression of your life force in your body. And so, if you're looking online, you want to look for somebody who works with functional medicine. You can look for longevity medicine is also, you see that out there quite a bit. Anti-aging medicine is certainly something that's cutting edge. There are many, many very reputable providers out there. You want to be sure that that they do have proper certifications, that they have done the proper training that's out there. I can tell you, most importantly, do not just go online and purchase products, supplements, peptides off of the online sources that are out there, because you don't know what you're getting. And you want to be sure that if you're going to explore this area, that you do it with a licensed, trained, certified professional.
Imagine a life where every movement doesn't come with a price tag of pain. At AFC, we don't just treat symptoms, we rebuild your confidence, one personalized treatment at a time. Our approach goes beyond temporary relief, targeting the root of your pain and helping you rediscover what your body can really do. Don't settle for surviving. Call us or visit our website today.
So functional medicine, that's a category out there that's reasonably new in the last probably 10 years. And a lot of people have taken the additional certification. I have providers working for me that have been certified in that, and it's a phenomenal way to help people. So it's not a category of actual specialty as much it's an understanding of knowledge and an expertise understanding function beyond what's trained probably in any chiropractic, medical, osteopathy college, right? This is outside the paradigm. But it is the way we're going to shift this epidemic of chronic illness. You've got to be aware, choosing that right doctor, going outside maybe of the typical paradigm of how you've consumed healthcare, doing research. And the last thing, as we're going to wrap this thing up, is something you've already touched on, is if you just can't go online and just buy random products and throw them into your chemistry and expect you're going to be able to create good chocolate chip cookies. I talk about that you switch baking soda with baking powder, you get a complete problem, right? This is not what, so just randomly doing that. But then the last thing you got to consider not doing as we wrap this thing up is if you go and decide, I'm going to choose a health provider based on my Blue Cross and Blue Shield book. Oh man, first off, you got to know, and this is my last guideline. First guideline, carpenter or fireman. Second guideline, are they just writing prescriptions and managing symptoms? And third, just because they're in your insurance book does not mean anything. You have what is called disease insurance, not health insurance. And when you're on fire, thankful your insurance is probably going to help put you out. But if you want to get healthy, you may have to consider going outside of your insurance book, outside of maybe even your insurance policy. And you have to choose to be healthy, not always wealthy. Because at the end of our spectrum, which now I'm 62, Doc, I think you're probably close to me, that we know the value of health is so much higher than the value of wealth. Speak into that disease, that health insurance paradigm, and getting outside of that to find real health and real providers that may not be covered by their health and policy.
You know, I was talking to one of my entrepreneurial buddies earlier this week. We actually said your wealth is your health.
It is.
Because without your health, you could have all the wealth in the world and it matters nothing.
Doesn't matter.
Kevin, all insurance works the same, right? Probably have insurance on your car. Can you use that insurance to put new tires on the car? No.
Change the oil?
Can't use it to change the oil? Nope. Can't use it to get a car wash? You have to wait until you crash the car and the car breaks to be able to use that insurance. Same thing, we're talking about the house, right? Can you use it, your house insurance, to repaint the walls inside, or put some new landscaping or shrubbery outside, or even maintain the roof? Unless the house burns down, right? Unless the roof blows off, you can't use your insurance. See, the thing is that once something's broken in your body, it is very hard to fix. When your pancreas breaks and you become diabetic, it is almost impossible to put that genie back into the bottle. So we don't want to wait until things break. You're right. There are times that things break. You're going to break an arm. You might. Absolutely. You want to make sure you go to the very best hospital and get that medical care that's needed. But there's a whole spectrum of health before things break. I call that an investment. So we don't often think about investing in our health, investing in ourselves. A lot of us, I understand that there are economic stressors on most folks, and that the discretionary income that we have to spend is very special to us. And using that to pay for our health sometimes means we have to put ourselves as a priority. I chuckle every time the new iPhone comes out, and everybody who has a perfectly fine iPhone goes out and buys the new iPhone, right? And it really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot other than the old iPhone did. Maybe it takes a little better pictures or something like that. But putting aside those monies, whether it's in an HSA, a health savings account, or a FSA through your employer, where you can actually get a tax deduction, get a tax credit for paying for these services like functional medicine that are not covered by traditional sick care, broken care insurance, is a great investment for folks to do. So I would very much think about going to, you can get it at Sam's Club, you can get it right at your bank where you do your regular banking in town, and speak with somebody about putting aside an HSA and how that can be funded throughout the year. And some of them can actually carry over and be a true resource for you for healthcare. A lot of they'll pay for supplements, they pay for gym memberships, they pay for the things that are not covered by insurance. And chiropractic isn't on your insurance plan. It even covers chiropractic care.
All right, there you go. And we'll have some of your links on our webpage. So go to drkevinwall.com. You'll find information on Dr. Sanna, breakthrough coaching. Read a couple of his books, Breakthrough Thinking. I know that's a great one. And if you wanna get a question answered on our podcast, go to our website again, the Unplugged Healthcast, or drkevinwall.com, and you leave a message, you leave a voicemail, or if you want to even be a call on the show, we take calls and we answer them live on the show. We'll do that for you. So either way, but share this product, subscribe, follow us. I appreciate your time today, Doc. This is Dr. Wall and Dr. Mark Sanna. We are signing off. Be healthy, be safe, get unplugged, be blessed. We'll see you again on another Unplugged Healthcast.